A powerful surge of spiritual energy gathered into a brilliant golden pillar, shooting straight from the cracked ground into the sky, and piercing through the pitch-black clouds. Tobias had completely ditched his human look by now, revealing his true form as a massive monster with rough skin and strange black patterns. Dust swirled around him like a violent cyclone, blocking out all the light in the surrounding area. He quickly whipped out several black tentacles to wrap tightly around the gathering energy streams. Right after that, hundreds of massive energy orbs floated in mid-air, glowing with a threatening, dark light. At the same time, Yu dove down from above, as fast as a literal arrow of light. His entire body was wrapped in a blinding, brilliant golden energy. He fired off several sharp energy beams like flaming swords straight at Ubius. Immediately, a massive crash echoed through the air. Those golden beams slammed into Ubius's orbs, triggering a huge explosion that shook the ground, sent rocks flying, and lit up the entire battlefield. Yu calmly focused his energy into his palm to form a long, shimmering light weapon. He gripped the weapon tight with a steady and commanding vibe. The weapon, packed with ancient light power, swung in a brilliant arc, cutting straight through the thick smoke. Mobius didn't flinch, launching a massive energy orb right in front of him to block the attack. He gave a cold, mocking laugh, his eyes full of pure arrogance. Suddenly, Yu shot out countless roots from under his feet right at that moment. These roots surged from the ground fast as hell, like giant snakes. A loud bang rang out as Yu's roots smashed right into Ubius's face with insane force. Ubius's heavy body got knocked back through the smoke screen by the massive roots. Yu looked up and coldly watched Ubius getting pushed back. He controlled the roots to squeeze even tighter, making his arm muscles bulge and letting out a low grunt. While pinned down, Ubius suddenly opened his mouth and fired a blinding energy beam from his throat toward Ninguchudu. A massive explosion went off as the powerful blast swept through Yu's spot, sending dirt flying and creating a thick smoke screen that blocked everyone's view. The direct hit didn't give Yu time to dodge, forcing him to stand his ground and dig his feet deep into the dirt to stay balanced. Finally, Yu pulled back the roots wrapped around Ubius. Ubius hit the ground safely, but his massive weight shattered the earth into tiny pieces. Yu regained his cool and steadied his breathing. He raised both hands and used his light power to create a bright gold energy net, and fired it forward. These energy rays locked onto Ubius's position and rained down like a non-stop storm. Multiple explosions went off with shockwaves spreading out, making it impossible for Ubius's slow body to dodge, so he took the full hit. His thick skin got ripped apart in huge chunks. Ubius glared at Yu with pure rage and roared that his fate was sealed and he wouldn't die here. Yu didn't say a word, but turned into a gold streak, rushing straight at Ubius, who was still taking heat. He looked the guy right in the eye with a sharp gaze and coldly asked him back. Right after that, he unleashed a massive burst of energy that condensed into a single point of light, and smashed it straight into Ubius' head. Instantly, that giant head was totally destroyed, with blood and flesh flying everywhere. Yu looked down at Ubius, whose body was mostly trash by now, leaving nothing but a pile of meat. However, those wounds quickly started to heal themselves. Ubius's body fully recovered in just a few seconds, and then he charged at Yu like a whirlwind. Then, he curled up and used hundreds of tentacles to form a giant ball to crush Ninguchudu. He pumped out energy as bright as the sun to fight off that crazy pressure. He frowned and put all his strength into a loud shout. Immediately, a huge explosion went off where he stood, leaving a deep crater and sending rocks everywhere. But Yu had vanished, leaving only a faint, shimmering trace of energy in the hole. Ubius stood alone in the crater with no sign of his opponent anywhere. His body started to change weirdly as his black skin peeled off to reveal shiny scales. Ubius shifted into a new form, even taller and more vicious than before. He stood in the smoke and laughed, bragging that anyone who challenged him would pay a heavy price. Just then, Yu suddenly appeared behind Ubius like a ghost. He threw a heavy punch packed with light energy at the guy. Ubius felt the familiar vibe and showed total shock in his eyes. A massive boom rang out as Yu's punch drove Ubius deep into the ground, shaking the earth and sending dust flying like waves. After that, Yu unleashed a storm of non-stop punches at him. He was moving so fast he only left golden streaks in the air like falling stars. Ubius reacted instantly by sprouting multiple heads from his body and firing black energy beams to fight back. His energy shot straight at Yu and exploded, creating massive, destructive shockwaves. Thick dust blocked Ubius' view, making it impossible to see what was happening inside. As the dust cleared, Yu's tough silhouette slowly appeared before him. Yu was charging energy in his mouth to form golden light orbs that gave off insane heat. He launched those energy balls at Ubius, causing a violent explosion right on him. The energy spread fast, wrapping the whole area in a blinding golden light. Next, Yu focused energy into his hand, creating gold lightning, and throwing a thunderous punch. The punch slammed right into Yubia's spot, triggering a massive explosion and a pillar of light that shot straight into the sky. The ground around them shook violently, sending rocks flying and leaving a circle of destruction. Smoke rose up, surrounding Tudu's body. The area around him was now nothing but a pile of rubble. Yu kept a cold face and stared ahead with a murderous gaze. Where Yubius was before was now just a deep pit, while the smoke slowly cleared to leave a terrifying silence. Yu stood on the edge of the crater, watching closely, and listening for the slightest sound. He released his mini-form as a streak of pure golden light. That light dove straight into the pit, and pierced through the thick darkness below. Yu landed safely with a low thud. His landing made the ground around him shake slightly. On the other side, Beast stood there panting, covered in dirt and sweat. Seeing Yu too, he angrily fired multiple black energy beams his way. Yu casually waved his hand, using golden energy to swat those attacks away. The beams changed direction and hit the dirt wall above Ubius, making rocks tumble down. Yu gave a cold, mocking smirk and asked if that was really all a god's power amounted to. He looked at Ubius with a serious face, and demanded he spill his next plans. Ubius stood there in silence, seemingly plotting something with dark eyes. Then, he suddenly spoke up in a threatening voice, saying he'd show his opponent his true form. Immediately, a thick, powerful black energy exploded around his body. The ground around him shattered, sending small pieces flying. The space around them started to warp, signaling a terrifying change was coming.